Humans on the cardboard. Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Third time recording this. Let's go. Today, we're talking about the Structure Deck R. This is a really cool series of products Konami has been doing in the OCG. We haven't been getting all of them in the TCG. In fact, as of late, we've only gotten one of the last four as an actual structure deck. They get imported into other products, so it's not the end of the world, but not ideal for a lot of players. But it is what it is. At least we get them. But yeah, pretty much what this product is, if you do not know, is pretty much Konami goes back, sees old structure decks, and goes, you know what? We can make that better. And they just make a new, updated one with new support cards for it, and pretty much trying to give these decks a way to compete. And honestly, they've done a great job. Warrior Strike, just looking at the last four here that have come out, Warrior Strike had stuff like Phoenix Immortal, Gearfried, Phoenix, whatever his name is. Really powerful card. Machiner's Commander, Mechanized Madness, had all the new Machina cards. Those are really good in Earth Machine. Those are really good in the pure control variant. Dragoonie Drive has some of the Dragoonie stuff that is playable in like generic Dragon decks. And Lost Sanctuary actually is just coming out, but that's going to be a legit powerful rogue deck as well. So they are actually doing a really good job as of late on this. And the most recent one is Devil's Gate. This is for the Dark World archetype. They got their structure, I think, all the way back in 2011. So we're looking old here, but here's the really important thing to know. They are going in exact order. They are pretty much going down the line in order of when they got released originally and saying, yep, this one. What's the next one? Cool, we're doing that one next, which is great. And so today I want to look even past Devil's Gate because we already know that's coming. I've already made a video talking about what I want to see from that support. And we're going to look to the next 5 in terms of like, you know, for the next 2 years, what we could be looking at as the next options to be coming down the pipeline for the structure deck. So there you go. But before we get into it, just to note, from most of these recent things, I just want to point at these and say, just keep in mind, we're getting 8 new cards per structure deck. Like literally the last 3 have all had at least 8 new cards per structure deck. The Machina one had 8 new cards. The Dragoonie Drive had 8 new cards, and so did the Lost Sanctuary. We'll see what happens with Dark World. I really hope they keep that up because that is an awesome number, and it makes me feel confident that even if not every single card is an absolute banger, between 8 cards, they can reform an entire archetype. And as you'll see, some of these structure decks are not great to begin with. They really, really need a full restructuring, and 8 cards is a great number to be able to fit that in. So very happy about that. But let's get into it. Looking at the first one here, coming up after the Dark World structure deck is Dragonic Legion. This structure deck was a weird one. We see a couple of these over the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're just kind of weird. They're just like generic structure decks. This is kind of just like I guess technically it's like a chaos structure deck, but it kind of is just like a light dark dragon like structure deck. It has stuff like Light Pulsar Dragon, Dark Flare Dragon, Eclipse Wyvern, which is actually banned now, so it actually did have something really good in there. So it's just kind of like a weird structure deck. It's just kind of chaos-based, just kind of has some of that stuff going on, but it wasn't too great. I could easily see this structure deck getting skipped. I still think they might do it, because like the whole thing is like, if you look at the most recent structure decks, like almost all of them, other than like maybe Warrior Strike, you could argue, are like archetype based, right? We go from Zombie to pretty much Endymion to Machina to Dragoonie to Agents to Dark World. Like other than Warrior Strike, they're almost all entirely archetype based. At least like, you know, dinosaurs kind of are their own archetype. Zombies are kind of their own archetype, right? So, you know, it's kind of hard to say, but it's weird. I don't know where they go with this one. I guess they just could make like a handful of like new chaos cards, but they need to be careful with that. They're just going to make 8 new strong chaos support cards. That could be really, really scary. We already have a lot of really powerful chaos cards in the game, so that one would be interesting. This one, if any of them, of these 5, I could see being skipped for sure. The most likely one to be skipped. For the most part, they've been very good at just going in order, but I do think there have been a couple that have been skipped because they just like it didn't make enough sense. But yeah, that one for sure. Next up, we move to structure deck Roar of the Sea Emperor. This one is one of the ones I'm really excited for out of the next 5 for sure. I've actually been taking a look at some Atlantean Mermaid builds as of late. They look really interesting. I actually think they do some really cool stuff. We have some new water support coming in the next Legendary Duelist, and then this would be another sweet follow-up for that. Also, by the way, I mentioned that the new structure deck R's have been having like 8 new cards per new structure deck. These old ones had like 5 new cards. That's it. We're getting more support cards than even like purely existed from these original structure decks. So some of these actually still hold up though. As far as the new cards that came out in the structure deck, you have infantry, marksmen, and dragoons. What I'd love to see is a new redone version of Poseidra. Really awesome artwork, but let's be honest, he is completely power crept. He doesn't do nearly enough for modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd love to see an updated boss version of him that is like really strong and potentially worth playing. And yeah, maybe just some other generic water stuff. We'll see. Maybe they could try and push the deck in a direction that is not hand ripping. Hopefully, but we'll obviously have to see. But definitely interested in that one for sure. Next up is Onslaught of the Fire Kings. This is another one I'd be interested in, but this one does not have much of a base. Like I said, this deck has so many things going for it because right now the best version of this deck is like Atlantean, Mermaid, Deep Sea is a newer archetype that like really like helps that deck out so much. Frog Engine, potentially now a Shark Engine, like. You know, this deck has such a strong base already that like they just need nice cards. This deck needs everything. Like the deck is so slow, it's almost Nephthys-esque where all of the monsters need to be destroyed by card effects or float when something else like is destroyed by card effects to jump on the field or something. And that's just not great unless you have some really powerful cards that, you know, search and destroy a card for you. You know what I mean? Something like Dragonic Diagram for the archetype would be interesting. But it really depends. It feels like they're probably going to need a new power crept version of your guy here, your whatever his name is, Fire King High Garunix or something. It seems like they're going to just need a power crept version of him that's actually an interruption, still extends pretty easily, and we'll see. I mean, listen. Like I said, 8 new cards, they can go really, really far. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this deck could still be playable after this. So especially if maybe down the line we're looking at the Fire Legendary Duelist. We're getting the Earth one next after the Water one, and it seems like Fire would be the next one in line. So maybe if there's a couple archetypes with some Fire stuff coming out there, then maybe we could see this kind of come out in the similar timeline and be kind of primed for just kind of a lot of other good fire support to come alongside. So that would be interesting. Next up here we have Blue Eyes, Blue-Eyed Dragons, Thundering Descent. Bleh. You guys know I don't love a lot of like the main character archetypes except for a few. We'll talk about the next one I actually am a fan of, but I've never been a big fan of any of the decks that just kind of have to play the shitty vanillas. But it's Blue Eyes. This is actually the set where Maiden with Eyes of Blue and Dragon Shrine came out for the first time. So definitely some good cards, specifically Dragon Shrine there. But Castle Dragon Souls, whatever, Silver's Cry, cool for a beatdown strategy. But nothing too crazy. It's Blue Eyes. You know, Konami's always going to make Blue Eyes, so I wouldn't expect them to skip this. I would still expect them to give a Blue Eyes a whole new structure deck. And who knows? I mean, it's 8 new cards. I mean, they can't make them all bad, right? So I would expect them to kind of do something. Maybe it could be the final 8 card push that actually gets Blue Eyes into like a competitive status again. That would be pretty interesting. But there's not much to say here. It's Blue Eyes. You know, they already have a ton of cards. They're always going to get more and more cards, just like Dark Magician. It's going to happen, but yeah, you know, to be expected. And then we finish up with the final one here of the next 5, and that's Blitzkrieg of the Mech-Light Dragons. This is the Cyber Dragon structure deck here. This is maybe the only archetype of like the super popular main character, kind of like just fan favorite archetypes. I'm talking Dark Magician, Hero. I like Heroes, but I don't love Heroes. I liked them more when I was younger. Blue Eyes, right? And then stuff like Cyber Dragon, I think like is right there on that same plane. Cyber Dragon is by far my favorite of those. It's because it can really play a better like control strategy. This is actually the structure deck that came out with Core, Repair Plant, and Nova. So they actually got some really nice cards in this set for the Cyber Dragon strategy. And listen, again, I think Cyber Dragons are the most competitive out of any of these already. As far as these 5 go, and 8 more cards would be crazy. I mean, we saw how pumped people were when they announced like the Cyber Style structure deck. Not everybody knew what it meant. It obviously ended up meaning Cyber Dark support really more than Cyber Dragon support at all. And so people were pretty upset. A lot of people were upset that it didn't end up working as well with Cyber Dragon stuff as it did the Cyber Darks. But this could be the time, and this could be 2.5 years down the line. But I think that would be a pretty good time if they're going to hold off from giving them a ton of support until then, to just give like a giant wave in a structure deck and really push the deck to the next level. It would be really crazy. So as for me, the ones I'm most excited for would probably be like Cyber Dragons, the Roar of the Sea Emperor, and then Fire Kings. I'm not as excited for Blue Eyes and Chaos, but the other 3, I'd be very excited to see what they do. But very cool. Just want to take a little look down the pipeline on what could be coming for the Structure Deck R series. We're working on the Dark World one. By the time Dark World's finishing up, we'll probably get an announcement for another one fairly soon in the months after that, and we'll go from there. But really exciting. Just want to go over this. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on this. Which one of these would you be most excited to see, especially knowing that they are kind of all up. They kind of are all up to potentially be happening in the next couple of years in Yu-Gi-Oh! So let me know your thoughts down below on that stuff. Here, I'm going to get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.